Now, Ibrahim, let me pick your thoughts on this renewed violence in Nkwanta and its impact. Unfortunately, 3 students innocently caught in the crossfire, losing their lives.
Yeah. Good morning again. It's a somber note to start with, this particular issue. And it's about looking at the reasons behind it. What are the antecedents regarding the 2 communities that are fighting each other? That's how you cure it. Because otherwise we are putting a band-aid or a plaster on this issue. At some point it will flare up again. Right. And what I want to say is, it's not about what government can do. It's what we as Ghanaians, the communities, how we can connect with them at both the traditional rule level, I'm talking our chiefs. Then of course before you get to government, municipal and district, and then having the security services involved. But this has to be community-led.
Right.
Because again, if we scratch the surface, this didn't start today. Oftentimes the rivalry has its seeds in land issues and tenure. And somebody did something and it's triggered the incidences that we have now. Because the school children were totally innocent bystanders. I think one was going to school and another was actually in class when a stray bullet actually hit them. So in my submission, I want to look at how we can get the communities to actually work together. I'm not saying that they have not been doing so. It would be very naive of me to think that all this while conversations have not been going on. But we need that. Oftentimes, there are key personnel, key leaders within any community. When they say A, everybody follows. And it's how to get those leaders to understand that we have indeed a common destiny. Whereby this land you are fighting over, or this issue you're fighting over, my brother, my sister, doesn't fit into that 6x2 box that we will all be buried in. You can't take the land with you when our maker calls us. So sometimes we have to attune our minds as to what matters most. Making sure that our communities live together, work together, prosper together with equity and understanding. I kill you, you kill me, and then our children too will continue that generational curse. Nobody, it doesn't help. And what we can do, and I'm not saying that we should do it by just jaw. Sometimes you need the strong arm of government to enforce certain things. Sometimes you have to force people to make peace. And it's a combination of those tactics that I'm hoping that government and the traditional leaders and community leaders as well will attune their minds. 2 lives lost. And these are the ones that are reported. What about others that may not be captured, and make the headlines that we're not aware of? And so I don't want to be too deep in this, my submission here, other than to make the appeal to communities and of course the government that we need a strong broker. That's where government can come in. A strong broker, but it's like having an iron hand in a velvet glove. That's what I want government to do in this instance. We've seen what happened with Boku crisis. It's still flaring up, the Dagbon crisis as well. So protracted, alhamdulillah. It is now being resolved, and we thank God for that. But we don't want another 20 years. Not just for what's happening in Nkwanta, elsewhere. Government has to, now, again, I'm mentioning government, but not putting the focus on government. It is we. When government leaves, the military leaves, the police leave, and so on and so forth. Just we in our own village.
We live in the community.
We live in the community. So we have to be the leaders of this peace process. And don't let what has happened in the past hold you hostage and our children hostage to the future. So that's my appeal.
Very well.
Work to reconcile and build together and see ourselves as having that common destiny, whereby what we are fighting over, let's work together to utilize it, leverage it to build our community together. That's the submission I want to make on this topic.